Hey fellow book lovers, welcome back to the Bibliovert channel. My name is Jacqueline and it is officially the end of the Maassive Readathon, which is insane. This month was so much fun getting to meet new people and read some amazing books, and I just had the absolute best time. I also read I don't know if I can pick this up. 15 books? It just like kept going. So I thought I would do a little bit of a wrap-up video, talk briefly about the books that I read, whether I liked them or not, whether I think they are worth it or not. A lot of these are going to be repeats from the vlogs, so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail of the ones that I've already mentioned before. However, the ones that I've read over the last week, I might spend a little bit more time on. But let's go ahead and talk about these books. So the first book is one that I actually finished at the beginning of June and was one for the Bibliovertpodcast, and it is We Hunt the Flame by Maassive. And this met the Spring Court prompt of read a book with a character in disguise. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit nervous about this book because it started a little bit slow. However, I ended up absolutely adoring it, giving it 5 stars. The characters are amazing, the world building was incredible, and I really, really enjoyed the plot. The next one honestly was probably one of my favorite reads of this month, and it is The Gilded Wolves by Radiance. I have been singing this book's praises since I finished it. Absolutely loved it. If you like found family, heist situations, think Ocean's 11 meets Atlantis meets National Treasure, and you have this book. So twisty, full of so many surprises and turns that I didn't expect. I absolutely adored it. Plus it was set in France in 1889 and it was just so much fun. And this was one of my night court reads for Read a Book with a Pretty Naked Cover. The next book I read was also for the night court, since that is where I got my citizenship from, and it was Crave by Tracy Wolff, and this was for my Read a Book with Vampires. This one reminded me a little bit too much of Twilight. However, it was entertaining, but not enough for me to absolutely fall in love. I did give this one 2 stars. I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit curious to see where the series goes. I've heard that the series gets better after book 1, so I might pick it up, but it is not gonna be a priority read for me. Moving on, for my summer court prompt of read a book over 350 pages, we have We Free the Stars by Maassive. This one was another one for the Bibliovertpodcast. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't end up loving this one. There were a few tropes that I absolutely hate, and this had them all. It could have been really, really good. However, it fell flat for me. I did end up giving this one 3 stars because I do have so much respect for Maassive, and I loved the first one, and I was happy to see the duology wrapped up. However, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit bummed. The next one I actually read on my Kindle, and it was A Touch of Malice by Scarlett St. Clair, and this was for my free space that Allie created called Club Wingspan. This book, y'all, was so good. I am Hades trash. I will read anything that is a Hades and Persephone retelling, and honestly, I love the Touch of Darkness series. I think this one might be tied as my favorite with Game of Fate. It was just so good, and that ending, y'all, I am unwell. There were a lot of things that I did not like about book 2, A Touch of Ruin, and this book just made up for it in heaps. So I'm super, super happy about it. This one was a 5-star read for me, and another one of my favorite books I read this month. For the Illyrian Mountains of the Bed Sharing Trope, we have Radiance by Grace Draven, and this was a TikTok Made Me Do It book, and I was very, very nervous going in because I have been burned by some TikTok Made Me Do It books. However, I had very low expectations going into this one, and I ended up really, really enjoying this one. This one was definitely a strangers to friends to lovers, and I loved the way that the main characters communicated with each other. I honestly enjoyed the plot. There wasn't a whole lot to it, but it was very enjoyable. It's a short read. It's a series, and I do think I am going to continue reading this series, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I gave this one a 4-star. So I could not wait until July to read this next book, so I added it into my TBR for The Missing Wall, which is Read a Book with Monsters, and it is the Silvered Serpents by Roshni Chachki, and y'all, it delivered. This was another 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it. The character development was fantastic. The ending had me on the edge of my seat. I love all the characters so much, and I am so excited for the Bronzed Beast to come out in September. So the next book is also a Bibliovertpodcast book, and it is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, and this met my Dawn Court prompt of read a book with a film adaptation. This is my 3rd time reading this book, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like it as much as the first 2 times that I've read it. However, I do love the series overall. I gave this one a 3-star. If you are interested in hearing all of our thoughts on this book, definitely go check out the episode. For the Autumn Court prompt of read a book with forest either in the title or on the cover, I read Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow. Ooh, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't end up loving this one. Our main character was an anti-hero. I just didn't vibe with her. I thought the storytelling was amazing and the writing was incredible. I loved how easy it was to picture everything. The setting was beautiful. However, I just really could not stand the main character. So I did end up giving this one a 3-star. The next book in this series is from a different character's point of view. So I might check out that one in the hopes that I could enjoy it a little bit more. This is the evil queen from Snow White's villain origin story, and the next one I believe is about Snow White herself. So I might read that one hoping that I like Snow White a little bit more. But yeah, I was a little bit bummed about this book. So for the Prithian Travel Guide stamp of the Adriatic Grand Tour, read a sea-themed book. I read Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. This was incredible. It's super short. The banter, fabulous. I have read Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller and didn't love it, so I was a little bit nervous going into this one. However, absolutely fantastic. If you like pirate books, please go pick this one up. It was so good. The plot is not super convoluted or twisty or detailed. However, it was so enjoyable. I read it in one sitting. I laughed out loud. I loved the characters. And again, the banter is just top notch. So it was a 5-star read for me. So for the Autumn Farmlands of Read a Book with Romantic Tension, I read Take a Hint, Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is book 2 in the Brown Sisters series. And y'all, I loved it just as much as book 1. These books are so good. They're so funny. I love the diverse representation. In this one, Zephyr struggled with anxiety. It was just so good. We had fake dating. We had some serious pining going on. We had like the grumpy man and like the sunshine happy girl. I love this series so freaking much. A 5-star read. It's so good. 5-star read. If you are looking for a contemporary romance that you'll love the characters, but it still talks about like hard topics, pick up this series. So good. So good. So to round out my Night Court citizenship, I read our book buddy read of the month, which was Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. And y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit nervous. I have zero fashion sense, and this was marketed as like Project Runway meets Mulan, and I was like, oh, that might not be me. However, I absolutely loved this book. We do have a vlog on our thoughts of this book, so if you are interested in watching that, I will leave the link down below because it is unlisted on our YouTube channel. But this book, fantastic, 5 out of 5 stars, amazing. I loved the way that Lim wove mythology into this series. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I loved this book. I cried several times. It's beautiful. It's really, really beautifully written. So could not recommend this book enough. 5 out of 5 star read for me. So originally, for my winter court prompt of read a book with a wintry or icy theme, I was going to read Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. However, got about 50 pages into this book and just couldn't get into it. I was having a really hard time. Kind of felt like a slump was coming on, so I just decided to shelf it for now, not DNF it, but just put it aside, shelf it for now, come back to it later. And instead, I read The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. And y'all, wow, not what I was expecting. Again, it's nice and short. This book is so beautifully written. It's very lyrical, it's very descriptive. As I was reading it, I couldn't help but think that it kind of reminded me of the writing style of Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, merely because the book starts off and it's a story of her entire life, as well as just kind of the imagery that is written into it, how beautiful it is, how vivid the author describes things. Kind of gave me a similar vibe. The storylines are completely different, could not be more opposite of each other, but the characters both were kind of separate from everyone else, both in the way that they grew up and also just kind of who they grew into being. So I felt like there was a strong comparison between those two books. I love Where the Crawdads Sing, and I ended up loving this book as well. I think I'm going to give this one a 4-star read just because it was a little bit slower at first. However, I'm very invested in the series. I have full plans to read the rest of the series in July. I'm very excited about it. It's just a really, really beautiful book, and I really found myself having a good time while reading it. Okay. So for my day court read of Read a Book with an Assassin, I read The Tiger at Midnight by Swati Tirthala. And I did not like it at all, which makes me really, really sad to say, because I know several people who absolutely love this book and the rest of the series. However, I really, really struggled with this book. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the plot. I really didn't like the writing either. This was like a classic case of telling me something and not showing me. For example, the main character is supposed to be this fearsome assassin, and like all she does is make mistakes. She isn't successful in any of her missions. It was very insta-love. There were just plot holes galore. It was very predictable for me. So I really did not enjoy it, and I am really, really sad about it because I was very hopeful. I know the third book I think is coming out in July, so I was really excited to like read the rest of the series. However, I did not like it. So I ended up giving this book a 1-star, and I just don't think I'm going to continue reading the series. So the last book that I read was for the Callias's Palace prompt of Read Your Next TBR book while drinking a wintry beverage, and I read Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This series, literally every book has been a 5-star read for me. I've absolutely loved it. I love the diverse representation that is in this series. It's just seriously top notch. In this book, Eve Brown is the youngest daughter and has a very difficult time committing to a job. And so her parents kind of lay down the law a little bit and say, you need to get a job for a year, you need to stick with it. She kind of storms off and stumbles into an interview for a chef position at a bed and breakfast, but the interview does not go well. She ends up hitting the bed and breakfast owner with her car and breaking his arm. And she feels so bad. She basically does everything she can to help out, kind of gets in the way, but ends up working for the bed and breakfast. And of course, we have a sweet romance between the bed and breakfast owner and Eve. This series is just so fun. I seriously couldn't recommend it enough. Absolute 5-star read. Absolutely loved it, and a fantastic way to end the readathon. Thank you again to everyone who participated this year in the Maassive Readathon. We had the absolute best time, and we really hope that we will be doing this again next year because it was just too much fun to pass up. If you weren't able to participate this year, no worries. Hopefully we'll see you next year. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking as well as subscribing to our channel, and please leave a comment down below of the books that you read this month, or if you have any recommendations for our readathon next year. Please go check out our Instagram, the Bibliovertpodcast, as well as our podcast, the Bibliovertpodcast. We are streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play, and we have over 30 episodes where we just talk about books and have a really great time doing it. But that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Have a fantastic week, happy reading, and I'll see you next time.